Hello, good evening, and welcome to this interview on ancient wisdom for transformational coaching. I'm honored to be here. Let me quickly introduce myself. I'm Ashirvad Lobo. I'm a people leader at Amazon. I am also a certified coach, having been privileged to be trained by Sat and Siri sir. I started this journey in coaching having met them about 6 years ago, and it was truly transformational for me, life changing, so much so that my friends and relatives even said, "You have become a different person." Inspired by this training, I also co authored a book which is called Full of Life: Discover the Path to Success in Your Life, Career, and Business. It's been endorsed by Marshall Goldsmith, Brian Tracy, and a few other top authors. This inspiration for this book also is from the various fulfillment talks given by Sat and Siri sir. So I'm so happy to be here and introducing them as well. I think the true experts in ancient wisdom, in yoga, in NLP, I've learned so much from them. So I'm happy to be here and interview them on the topic. So, just to give a quick introduction on the topic, if it's the first time you're joining this interview, it's about ancient wisdom, and ancient wisdom places a lot of emphasis on self-enquiry and self-realization. I think this was a good linkage to coaching. These ancient philosophies can help in transformation, and they work on a framework which basically links to the nature of reality and the true nature of self. I think getting in touch with your true identity through self awareness, detachment, compassion, and transcendence. It just sounds so exciting. And in their books, Best, Truly, and Interactional Excellence, Sat and Siri talk a lot about this and how this works. So let me start by asking a question to you, Siri. My question to you is about ancient wisdom. What are some techniques or practices from ancient wisdom that you have found particularly effective in your coaching practice?
So I think that's very wonderful. The whole model which has been developed as InnerMost Shift Coaching. And when we talk of coaching and practicing coaching, I think it's about a lot of things. We talk about how your breathing pattern is. That's one of the intrinsic part of ancient Indian wisdom. When you talk about that, when there's a change in your whole mental thought process, there's a shift which happens to your breathing. And people are quite unaware of it because we do not understand that we think we are always external, but there's an internal process which is also happening in your body. So that is one of the very important aspects of which I also make people aware while I'm coaching them, that how when they are shifting mental thought processes, when there's emotional shift happening, with the mental shift happening, there's a whole shift happening in your breathing pattern. And becoming aware of it, sometimes they are also with their wide eyes open. Oh, we never noticed, how this is happening. And then using the same power, so using the same science, when we talk of the human system and the mind and body is a part of the same system. So sometimes when they're too stuck, then I said, okay, what would you like to do, and what would you like to be aware of it? And then most of the time people would say breathing. And one of the very beautiful aspects of ancient Indian wisdom when we talk about is also being present in now, which is one of the very intrinsic parts of our coaching style in InnerMost Shift Coaching, and also which I also practice as a coach. Because when we talk about now, most of us are stuck in our past or in future. But when we talk of now, the now moment is just now, and you have everything in now. So when I ask this question to people, in my coaching, sometimes they are too stuck. And in fact, I was just coaching one of the persons on relationship, and this lady got absolutely stuck. She says, "No, I think I cannot forego what's happening all around me and in my mind." I said, "Look, I'm not. I take off my coaching hat and let me understand about what is happening and what is not happening." I said, "Okay, tell me rest now, in just now, in this part. Do you have any problem whatsoever with yourself, with this person?" He said, "No, not really, not now. It's only when something happens and triggers it happens." I said, "So in this now, you have the full potential?" He said, "Absolutely." And if you have the full potential, you have all the resources within you, then how can you be present in now in those moments? And sometimes I leave them to, think over it. Yeah,
Right.
so we can do this, we can do this. I said, okay, what about your breath? Is the breath in the past? No. Is the breath in the future? Absolutely no. So where is the breath? In now. When you
Yeah.
have to focus in now, that's a very intrinsic part of ancient Indian wisdom, to understand that what is happening to your breath. And the moment you focus on your breath, you are just in now. And the moment you focus on the breath, consciously, there is no thought in your mind because you cannot think, because you're focusing on the breath. right?
Right.
So it is
Yeah.
such a powerful way of ancient Indian wisdom, which is such a transformational effect in the whole coaching process and in the whole InnerMost Shift coaching model, what we have developed, that they can
Mhm.
actually use it and be present to their own resourcefulness at any given point of time.
Excellent. I love that. I think it's definitely tied to practicing coaching. As you said, very often I use just the breath to clear the space before even starting coaching so that people can focus on the now. I think that's your emphasis. And when people get stuck, this helps. Coaching is about helping them make a shift. And using ancient sciences, you're able to do that very well. Thank you for sharing that, Siri. So, Sat sir, a very closely related to question to what Siri just shared about the coaching. My question is, how can ancient wisdom be used to help individuals build stronger and more meaningful relationships with others?
More relationship with others.
Yes.
Okay, all right. See, that's a very obvious and very natural state of being that we are always supported and we support others. So
Mhm.
no goal can be accomplished without being supported well, and we tend to forget it. And that's exactly the whole ancient wisdom lay emphasis on that you are there and there is a sense of connectedness with everything and every being. And the more we understand and realize that, and especially in a relationship of a spouse, I even quoted earlier in an interview that the how metaphorically and categorically and in several manners the people are reminded that you have the other being as Ardhangini, that the anga of yours, the part of you. So that states that how closely knit together and bound we are, and there's a sense of inseparation. And at the same time, even in the modern science, if you know, there's a phenomenon of quantum entanglement, and that quantum entanglement has been proved that how when we split up the same particle, and there is a sense of separation, but there's a connection when the one particles start rotating in another direction, the other follows the same direction. Now that's how between two relationship between it may be manager and a leader or a coach or a coachee there or spouses. So when they bring a shift inside them with a sense of there's something intelligent within me and the other person is though invisibly connecting us. So we may be mile apart, but there is a invisible connection, and by changing things inside we can changing outside. So it's not only about the relationship with the spouse. Even when we coach the salespeople and they find that they have the clients and their key accounts or important accounts, and they find that these people are becoming averse to them. So we ask them to focus inside, deep inside, and find out that what do you need to change within to, in fact, respond in the most appropriate and manner. Also, at the same time, in the relationship, we bring a very powerful state of being hopeful and fully alive. And that means becoming alive to everything happening in your consciousness and being hopeful. And it's a very powerful state. And from this state of being, we can in fact look at the things with optimism, hope, opportunity. And the ancient wisdom always guides us that this invisible connection is very intelligent. So we create our outside environment with our inside thinking. So if there is something which is, not working at the moment, if rather than, working on a strategic part, which is very obvious and logical, that what can I say, what can I do, is about what can I change within my consciousness and in my energetic level and in my thoughts and thinking level. And when I strongly get anchored and rooted to that state of being, then naturally the forces around shapes up. Okay, so the whole universe come to support you. So it's a matter of how strong you connect and bring a shift inside will bring the cascading effect to change things outside. So in relationship, it's a wonderful way of this incendiism guiding and
Yeah.
giving a sense of hope, opportunities, power, love.
And also, I think just one thing which I want to add, Ashirvad, which is very
Yes.
beautiful, which was coming to my mind, just one line saying that when you're talking of relationship and the ancient Indian wisdom, if you really understand from the deepest of heart, if we start understanding each individual as individual, right, that each person is different. If I'm different, I behave differently, the other person is also behaving differently. And
Yeah.
if we do not kind of label them, we free our minds, we don't judge them, which is a very intrinsic part of ancient Indian wisdom, that if you're living without judgments, you're living actually a more free life. And in relationship to any level, in office, in context of home, parents, children, anywhere you talk about your boss, the
Yeah.
moment you drop your judgment, you are living the best of life, because you are not making your own mind reading and you're interpreting and you're getting stuck. Rather, you say, okay, this person is like this, let me understand what this person is, and let me go ahead and behave with the way he person wants it. So that's what just coming to my mind when he said all that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for adding that. I think two things I've seen very closely. One is the connectedness that you talk about, and this helps to really get in touch that it's not just me, I'm connected to the universe at large and everyone around us. And this creates a sense of inseparation. Definitely, that brings relationships closer, like Satsar said. And how we can move from logic, or analytical mind to just focusing on our consciousness, our thoughts, and our thinking. And Siri, you're right in saying this thinking is about that each person is different and we shouldn't label or judge them, and just be able to control our own thoughts and thinking. And drastically, this can improve relationships. Thank you. I'll go back to you, Satsar, on the topic of using ancient wisdom in innermost shift coaching. So, as a leadership coach, manager looking after leadership coaching, and someone with years of leadership coaching experience, how do you see in the corporate world for executives innermost shift being brought in as a concept, as a methodology?
Okay. Now, I will right away come to a very powerful concept. There's a masculine leadership and there's a feminine leadership. The masculine leadership is about, using power, force, compulsion, and then tactics, diplomacy. Feminine leadership is so wonderful, my God. The moment even I spell these words around, something within me immediately changes. My voice tone changes. The power of love brings me to a way of connecting people to what would they love and what is the most loving act in this moment we can do. So of late, it has been seen that leaders have begun to agree that when the man force or the manpower is spread wide across, the control won't work, the compulsion won't work. The No matter how intelligent you are to track them, it won't work. But
Right.
engaging, involving, allowing, compassion, joy does work. There is a definite research. People are, even invited to pull around from several parts at how bigger organization problems could be solved just because the leader became more loving in heart, more open up. So the heart center opens up and it connects. So I have a very practical example that if a business person who came to me long back and he was full of frustration and full of anger, full of rage, and full of kind of a, you can say, revenge in his mind about competitors, about partners devastating him, and then everyone. And me and Steve, we coached him and we just brought him that what do you want to feel most in your heart? And he came to in a coaching question that full of love. Said, okay, how can you be with this love and allow this love to find expression in everything that you do, say, think, create, and even how can you walk with this energy of love to your manager, banker, and his account was seized because his partner had sealed the account, and you know that amazingly it worked so well, and this a love particle within him began to sprout a lot of creativity, joy, happiness, bonding power, and that's how, in a leadership paradigm, the power of love is unmatchable, right? And I have seen all these organizations and every product has been created out of love. That's in the
Yes.
modern language it's called passion. Okay, but passion seems to be, as if we are more dynamic. But passion means that what do you really love, and let the energy of love sprout. That seed of creativity, innovation, thought process, and that's what leadership is about. Okay. So this is my answer to this.
Yeah. That's an excellent perspective, sir. I think working for a tech company, working for an airline in the past, we have seen people are globally spread out in so many countries and regions. So definitely masculine or control leadership doesn't work anymore. Even if we want the best from our people, we want them to be engaged, give extra efforts. And this can only come when we are operating out of this feminine leadership or this wonderful or the love that you're talking about. So, Siri, I have a question in connection to this. Very often, I have seen, especially around the world, when you go to senior executives and talk about mindfulness, breathing, love, these concepts don't are not very well received initially. So, what is the way to help bust this myth that this is not something soft and touchy feely, but it's actually something that can transform their life and their team members' lives?
Yeah, I think it's a very good question, because I have been also coaching CEOs. So, just suddenly you can't go and talk to them, okay, close your eyes and do it, because that's not is really accepted. And because if they have not done it ever, so I had this opportunity of coaching one of the CEOs. He was a chartered accountant, moved to become a CEO of the organization. And of course, when I talked to him, it was all about, he says, I'm all about numbers, but how to do with the people was a difficult task for him.
Yeah.
But when I actually talked to him and when I really found out, because we have, that's my experience purely, what people are in the organizations and what people are to themselves, for each one of us, whether it's a leader, whether you or me or anybody in that matter, to ourselves, we are little different human beings than what we portray outside because of the circumstances, the environment, the people, when we talk about it.
Yeah.
But when I talked to him that how does he get in touch, and the first session when we talked about getting in touch with this innermost shift, the pure core within, he was so open to it, right? And of course, I did not ask him to close his eyes because I was feeling that, he might not. So I said, it's your choice if you would like to, close your eyes or not. But then this is a little process. And in case if you feel in between that you're not able to get it, please do let me know. We will see what we do it. And what I found the best thing, which is also one of the ICF competencies we call as evoking awareness. When you make them aware that what you're going to do with them, I think that creates a huge space for you to work with these people. So I always make sure that when I'm taking a person to any process, I do explain them the intricacies of how it's going to affect, And I, in fact, as a coaching way, do ask them, I said, okay, let me ask you very simplistic thing. I said, okay, tell me a time, when you were really successful in your life. And the person goes, yes, this I've done. And obviously there's a shift in the body, right? When people are talking. So I said, when you did this, and in between sometime I talked to them, I said, okay, when you're at this stage, just let me know how's your breathing pattern. So I never thought about it. I said, okay, think right now. What is your breathing pattern? Then he would say, yeah, I think it's become a little faster. I'm feeling very excited. The energy is moving up and, all those kind of simplistic things. I said, okay, let's take a break and now talk about sometimes when you were really struggling to do things, what was it like, right? And then, of course, that is more heavier and people are bound to get more into that kind of, state. So then I said, now tell me, what is your breathing? How it's affecting you? What is it really? What has come to your mind? What is your thought process? Obviously, says something I cannot see far. I see like a wall standing in front of me. And when I make them aware of this in the most simplistic manner, and then I connect that, okay, mind and body is a part of the same system. So if you're relating it, if you're finding yourself, and let's say when you are stuck and now when you're in this position, let's play the role again, and you are stuck and immediately change your body and become, let the energy shift move and up and down and then go to the breath. And now how do you see the situation? Just in few seconds, people are able to become aware. And that's how the connection is built. And it's a very true thing, because we have never been taught that there's an inner connection of our own self. There is when something happens outside, when your state changes, your body, your breathing, everything changes. So when you make them aware, I think I haven't met anybody who's not open to it. It might take some time, but yes, I had this, one of the coaches had come to us, a very quick one, I'll explain. And she says, I want to coach my husband. Again, he was a chartered accountant. And she came back after, one day, said, Siri, it's so unbelievable that he's not coachable. I said, what happened? He said, he does not close his eyes. I said, okay, don't ask him to close his eyes. Simply talk to him. Simply just ask him certain things as a question and an answer, and then see what happens. And she did it the next day, and then she said it works. Because I never told him to close his eyes, but after a few questions, he automatically closed the eyes and he started talking. So that was the best way of doing it. So I
Yes.
think it's something which you have to make them aware. I think that it does work.
Thank you. That's such an excellent answer. I have seen in my experience with hundreds of hours of coaching here in Dubai, in so many different nationalities, that I think your method, which you suggested, even in the training and now, that asking questions and letting people feel through very simple ways that this is true, right? So they see the shift and then they become so much more open to it. And once they're open to it, the transformation is something they have never experienced in their life. So it really works out well, even with senior leaders. Thank you for sharing that. Now, congratulations on your new book. I want to ask you a few questions about the book. In your book, you talk about BEST, which is body, energy patterns, sensory descriptions, and thinking. And I understand that all these are components intelligently interconnected and interdependent, and they work in unison. So, when you are referring to this BEST, what do you refer to as semantic awareness? This is a question for Sat sir.
Okay. I will start with the ancient wisdom that we are composed of 5 different bodies. The one is called the Annamaya Kosha, that are physical body. Then the Manomaya Kosha, our mental body. Then the Pranamaya Kosha, our pranas and energetic connection. And then the
Vijnana.
Vijnanamaya Kosha, that the wisdom and the knowledge that we house within. And the Anandamaya Kosha, the bliss body. Now, beyond this is your own self. So when you connect with this self, the first stage that you experience is bliss. And then next what happens is the wisdom dawns upon you. The next what happens is your energetic, your pranas. What's anger? Anger is that your pranas are going, your energy is going out of control. You can't control your energy. Excitement is what? You can't control your energy. Depression is what? You can't control your energy. Okay. So then your prana or the energy it can come under control, and then your thought process is under control, and then your physical action and well-beingness is in your control. So it's the upside down approach, and you start from the highest self. So that's what exactly is the somatic pattern. I have given the name to that same science of unifying. The somatic means the your body in movement, body in direction, body in action. Okay, which is called the state of yoga. Now, yoga is state of connecting with the higher self. That is yoga, and somatic is the entire expression through your every body, all the body. Okay, and the further simplified that is become the best. The way your breath, body, body shapes, the energy expression, the sensory system, the sense of explaining things, thinking and thought, that will become the best. So in fact, it's the ancient wisdom casted into a new way where you align with all these 5 bodies that you are composed of, and there is a cause of body, and there is a physical body. So there is a subtle body, and we are trying to change the cause of body, the cause of all sufferings. Okay, which comes from the deep ancient principle of Buddhism that there is a suffering, there is a cause of suffering, and without removing the cause, suffering can never go. Okay, and this cause comes from a deeper intent, the deeper impression that we hold ourselves back in this state when we are powerlessness, when we are in the helpless state. So from the powerlessness to feeling empowered to allowing the power to get into the dynamics of life is what this somatic is the entirety of integrity of all the expressions is a somatic. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's called the somatic expression. Okay, and there are somatic moves you can practice, somatic practices. Okay, so like psychosomatic is a mean then when your psycho has become totally finding it somatic. That means somatically, now it's so embedded in you that even your psychology is not operating you. Your psychosomatic means now you can't sleep because your body is not growing. So until all the bodies come in alignment, in unison with the higher being, then the somatic control is not possible. So that's what it encourages. So this is what it really means here.
Okay, that's quite a loaded explanation. So maybe I'll summarize it to see if I got it right. I think to simplify it, what I hear you say is there are five beings from ancient science, and we start with the highest level. And somatic is about being in unison with that higher being and through the entire body. So it's about alignment and unison. And instead of starting with physical, we start with the highermost state, and then that affects everything, all the five states that we are in.
Right. Because
Okay.
I'll just end up because somatically now, even if I want to, but somatically I'm embedded with bad behavior, bad impression. So I'm trying to control. I want to sleep, I can't sleep. So I want to talk good, but I can't. So I have to start from the highest state of being, and that's the guru state we call supreme state of excellence, and feeling the bliss of that, and then correcting all the things so that I start finding changes in my body shape, breathing pattern, body movement. Okay, and that becomes my evidence that shift has happened.
Excellent. So, in fact, my next question is very close to what you just mentioned, sir, about the guru state. This is to Siri ma'am. So, in your book, you refer to living in a state of supreme excellence, or the guru state, as Sat sir just said, or even just being state while performing your duty. In fact, recently I'm coaching a few people who are actually talking about this because work culture is all about doing and doing, and we don't get time or don't get space to just be. So, could you tell us in a few words what is this guru state or just being state?
I think very, very, very beautiful concept from the ancient Indian wisdom, which always says that the true teacher and the guru is within you, right? Okay, and actually it is. Even if you are taking any decision of your life, you talk to various people, but ultimately you will do what you want to do it, right? So if this teacher tells you this person standing in front of you is right, right? If the other person might say it's wrong, but you will say, no, I am saying it's right, for me it's right, right? And if the guru inside tells you this is nobody, it's useless, it is just useless, even if it might be a diamond lying in front of you, it says it's just a stone, I don't need it, right? So when we talk of in the ancient Indian wisdom and getting connected to the guru state, it's a very powerful state of connecting to your true being, who we really are, right? I always tell that we are all born with a pure core, but the layers of the experience cover it up. Somehow we are not in touch with that. Like a child is. A child is always being what the child is. I have my nephew's daughter, 5 years old. So she would come and say, Siri, I'm telling you, and she calls me Siri. I said, I'm your friend. I don't call me any aunt. I don't want. So, and she will say, I want, I'm telling you very softly that you please come and meet me. And she's actually shouting and she's saying as if nobody is hearing it. I'm telling you only and don't tell anybody, I have told you this. Just imagine a child's purity, right? Okay.
Yes.
Only we when we tell them, we restrict them, we shout on them, or we scold them, we put layers on it. We really cover that through being what the child is, and unfortunately or fortunately, it has happened to us. So this guru state is a very powerful way to connect to this purity of your being, who you truly are. But also, if I see the other side of it, if you're working in a corporate, if you're working you're in a family, then you can't be your true being, because nobody's going to accept, because they say this person has gone out of the mind, because you can't be throwing things, you can't be jumping, you cannot do it because you're not used to it. We have not made ourselves live like that.
Yes.
But at a place with your own self, and to people at least who are around you, and if they also understand it, that's a big underlying word, if they are also open for it, if you can live truly who you are, remove all the mask, and you're living from that supreme state of excellence, one, it brings in your own congruency to you, your equilibrium, your centeredness, your all the behaviors, your all the responses and reactions to the world outside and inside changes. You see a different world inside you, because you're all the way connected to your this purest form which is there within you. So that is one of the very profound ways we also initiate people to, and we use in our coaching style. So that, and especially when we are talking of top leaders is coming to my mind is because it's all about managing people. It's not your execution. It's about your strategies. It's about how to handle so many people so that they can produce that effect of productivity, of profitability in the organizations. And
Exactly.
what also Sir rightly said was, one is power of love. So we have Bill Campbell who talks in his book of Million Dollar Coach. There's a whole chapter of power of love. Secondly, it's about if you really help people in the organization to be true to where they are, right? We have, of course, we have boundaries. So I'm not saying you have to cross the boundaries, but at least within those limitations, if you allow them that space to bloom, I think we can really, you don't have to manage people. They can really manage from that true state of being, from that supreme state of excellence, because you are operating from here. And once you start operating from here, people will automatically start operating from them, right? That's one
Yes.
thing which I think which comes to my mind while talking to so many people and really training so many people, initiating to so many people to the state. There's just whole life changes when you're connecting to your own self. Because see,
Yes.
ultimately you have to give an answer to your own self, whatever you're doing. Whether you're a leader or you're a child or if it is in your awareness, you have to answer to your own consciousness what you're doing. And that
Yes.
is the ultimate what we really need to understand. So if we keep that ultimate in front and we connect to ourselves, I think it's the most beautiful way of living and creating that world around us.
Excellent. I think what a way to end the interview, talking about being your true self, connecting with the inner guru, which is you, and being centered. I love that. I remember my own situation after spending 2 weeks with you in person. I was singing and dancing in between, and people were wondering at home what's happened to this person. So I think it's also about helping them to understand, but definitely experiencing some of this ancient wisdom firsthand from you. I can say it's definitely something that works. I'd like to end by thanking ICF for giving us this wonderful platform as fellow coaches to be here, share this knowledge and wisdom. Thank you for having me here as well to interview.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.